I know I don't look so good. I've been undergoing chemotherapy since May, and it takes a lot out of you. The good news is that Obamacare is keeping me alive and can cure my stage 4 cancer, but I need to keep my insurance. Your latest plan will put me and millions of other Americans at risk. Throwing us to the mercy of the insurance companies is not the way to go. We need the protections of the Affordable Care Act so that people with pre-existing conditions will be covered. We need somebody that will stand up for us rather than selling us out.
Wow, that is genuinely powerful. I mean, the Affordable Care Act didn't just cover her, it absolutely saved her in that case. And healthcare like this should definitely be something that we all protect. It's about the people, not at all about the politics.
Big beautiful bill, Medicaid cuts. I'm for it because I'm an able-bodied American citizen right now. I'm headed to work. I work at least 40 hours a week. People need to stop just getting free benefits. If you can go to work, you need to go to work because we're tired of paying for everybody. So Medicaid cuts, we're here for it.
It's my mother-in-law. She worked 40 hours a week too at the same company for 32 years, and she was union, and then she got brain tumors and she lost her health insurance because if you're not working, you're gonna lose your health insurance, and then Medicaid and Medicare kick in. Every single person is one tragedy away from having to be on Medicaid and Medicare. You're one brain tumor, one car accident, and for you specifically, looking at you, I can tell you're one heart attack away from needing Medicaid and Medicare. Now, I know that you think everybody that's on them is lazy illegals, but guess what? One day you're gonna need it and you're not gonna have it. And it's not you that's paying everything. It's people like me, the younger generation, that are paying for that for you, for her. Now, thank God that she had successful children that can subsidize her way of life, because Medicare and Medicaid, it don't cover it all. You're going to be in poverty forever, and you're going to lose your house, you're going to lose your home, you're going to lose everything that you ever worked for, and you're going to have to move in with your kids. So I hope that you have fucking rich kids, because you just made that little tiny entitlement that you're going to need fucking smaller. I would like people like you to think of the future. You're going to need it. For you, it's probably going to be a couple years, all right? Because I can tell you've probably been eating butter and fried chicken for the last 20 years.
It's a story that absolutely hits hard. And, one diagnosis after decades of work, and Medicaid was the lifeline, right? So it's just, it cuts that deep, could leave absolutely millions of Americans just without any care when they need it most. And that absolutely sucks. Healthcare right now is in a really, really tough spot. Guaranteed 80-90% of you watching this right now would absolutely agree.
All of these Trump voters admitting that they didn't realize that Obamacare was the Affordable Care Act when they vehemently hated Obamacare is one of the most openly racist things I've ever seen in my life. Like, I don't understand how they don't have the critical thinking and the thought process to just know not to say that out loud, because of just how simply racist it is that they were so against Obamacare just because they associated it with Obama, which was the point. That's why Republicans coined Obamacare, so that racist people would hate it without understanding what it was. And that's exactly what they're admitting happened by saying they hated Obamacare and they thought Trump was going to get rid of Obamacare, but they have the Affordable Care Act. And they didn't realize they were the same thing. I wish I don't wish that they would keep it in, but it's insane to me that they don't have the maybe 2 or 3 step thought process that tells them don't share that out loud, because you are self-exposing that you are super racist.
It really did get weaponized, though. Obamacare specifically is what I'm talking about. The policy helps a ton of real people from all backgrounds, and but we saw it then, now, all the time. Even in places like rural Florida, for example, it's covering people who need it, and should judge people based on merits and not labels specifically.
You think you don't have Medicaid, but you have Medicaid. Do you see this comment and this viral video? Do you know most states don't call it Medicaid? MAGA 20% of the population has Medicaid. 78 million people. In Indiana, it is called Hoosier Healthwise. Hoosier Healthwise. That's what it's called, not Medicaid. And Hoosier Health Care Connect. In Tennessee, Medicaid is called TennCare. In Alaska, it is called Denali Care. Every single state almost has a different name for Medicaid than what it is. You better pay attention to this comment and you better pay attention to this post, because 20% of Americans have Medicaid. And if you voted against your own interest and your Medicaid is going to get canceled, you voted for it. I have done 3 posts naming several states with different names of Medicaid. MAGA, you better pay attention, because it's very likely if you live in a red state and you're insured, you have Medicaid. What state do you live in? Drop the name of your Medicaid or let me know and I will tell you what your Medicaid is called. Follow for all things personal finance, economic news, and frickin' common sense.
Real. But I mean, it's kind of funny how states rename Medicaid to different things, but it's all really the same thing so many people rely on. But people use programs like that every day without even realizing the federal tie. It really is kind of surprising when you think about it. Look into it. Do you guys have it too, without even realizing it?
I don't think a lot of people understand the volume of people that are going to die if Medicaid gets taken away. That means elderly people who use Medicaid to pay for their nursing home. I guess they're just going to throw them out onto the street. I'm not quite sure how that's going to work. That means people who use Medicaid to pay for their chemotherapy can no longer access it. That means people who use Medicaid to pay for their diabetes care no longer can access it. And that means that I think it's 4 out of 10 births in America not going to be covered anymore, because 4 out of every 10 births is paid for by Medicaid. And one thing that I don't see a lot of people talking about is the people who are not on Medicaid yet, but would need to access it in the future. Because those people, you've already signed their death sentence as well. There are a lot of people in this country who have stayed with abusive family members or stayed with abusive partners because they need the financial assistance, and going out on their own, they can't afford it. When you take away safety nets like Medicaid, guess what? You're signing their death warrant, because then they're in the position of, do I stay and have access to private insurance, but maybe die by the hands of my abuser or through negligence of my family members who are supposed to be my caretakers? Or do I go out on my own where I can afford nothing, not housing, not food, and definitely not medical care, and then just die that way? I don't think a lot of people
Jeez. I mean, that one hits hard too. You know, these changes really have been, and currently will continue to affect real people, real lives. And again, like I said, even probably a few of you watching right now, if it hasn't already affected you. And I'm sorry for that.
So I keep getting these comments that the cuts, this big, beautiful bill, is not going to impact seniors. Yes, it is. Absolutely, 100% it is. And I can tell you this because I work in this business, been doing this a long time. So these Medicaid cuts that are coming, the $1 trillion in Medicaid cuts are going to cut millions off of Medicaid. And that's going to include seniors who receive Medicaid for their long-term care in nursing home and assisted living. Medicaid covers that, not Medicare. It's not the same thing. It's a special Medicaid coverage, a Medicaid waiver that pays for nursing home and assisted living. Medicare doesn't cover anything long-term for living, okay? It just doesn't. So, people that think they know what they're talking about, oh, seniors get Medicare, it's not going to impact them. Medicaid isn't for seniors. That's false. Those seniors that are in assisted living and nursing home, they're getting Medicaid. They might have Medicare too, but they have Medicaid coverage for the long-term care. So there's a lot of misinformed people making really stupid comments, and I really wish y'all would just shut the fuck up if you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be forcing, a lot of elderly people that do have Medicaid out when they really need it, which really stinks, right? A lot of other people too, but, elderly people for sure, like she was touching on. Nobody should be losing their dignity in an older age. Nobody, because everyone's going to be there.
An unemployed Trump voter who said they voted for Trump because he promised to kill Obamacare, but says he hopes Trump keeps his hands off the Affordable Care Act, which he relies upon. Obamacare is the Affordable Care Act. Here's what this guy wrote online. He wrote the following, quote, I just voted for him because he's going to kill Obamacare. I am unemployed and Obamacare effing sucks. I'd rather just have the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, by itself instead of this communism shit. And then someone responded to him by saying, Obamacare is the ACA. It is literally keeping you alive. You voted to take away your health care. And then the original poster wrote back, quote, why the F do people have two different names for it? Obama equals bad and affordable equals good. I effing hate Democrats. Well, if you remember, it was the Republicans who branded it as Obamacare originally to try to scare people like you. Maybe your hate should be directed at those trying to take away your health care and not the people who are trying to actually save your life. How about that? It was an
Easy confusion with the names, but I mean, man, people really, really, really need to read, look into things, and understand what they're doing before they make their votes, because they really do count.
American flag stands for compassion, kindness, liberty, justice for all. We're all human, and today I'm asking for one human act of compassion to please let my dad come home.
Quick question. Did you think that the American flag stood for compassion and kindness when you voted for who you voted for? Because let me show you something.
And the science and experience we've developed here will live on through you. On behalf of the board, the leadership team, and myself personally, thank you for your passion, your ideas, and your perseverance. Perhaps more importantly, while we assembled phenomenal individuals together as a team, we fostered an even more phenomenal culture together. While war in its current state will not continue, our culture will ensure so many of these relationships will continue going forward, both professionally and personally. Your work mattered. It still matters.
That was my CEO shutting down our entire company, where that man has dedicated his life to science and treating cancer patients such as your father. And we had to stop. All of us got laid off because of your vote. So let me ask you another question. Would you still regret your vote if this didn't happen to you personally? Because I went back a couple of videos on your page to find out where was the outrage when this happened to a child, an American child that was deported mid-cancer treatment. And what I saw on your page was you being hot. I didn't see you being outraged. I didn't see you being upset. I didn't see you speaking up. So your cry is not really regret or remorse. Your cry is entitlement. You're crying because you were told no. You're crying because they denied you. Because if they had accepted your father to stay here, you wouldn't regret your vote. You would think that your president was still your hero. Because the outrage, the remorse, and the regret should have started months ago when this was happening to other people. When this was happening to thousands of other people that also have families, they also have children, they also have wives. You didn't care back then. Now you care?
Fair, point is very fair. Save the empathy for patients who, could lose chemo or critical care or anything of the sort. And, even her company's life-saving work just absolutely got shredded and hit by, all those changes. And it really does sting. Beyond that, though, that's the end of the video. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit subscribe for the channel and also like the video. And I'll catch you in the next one.